So we are looking at the different type of crystal structures, how the crystal structure are drawn, and how the Miller indices of a particular plane is calculated, and how it is shown onto the crystal structure. So discussion we have till yesterday uh, got to know how to determine the Miller indices for any crystal plane, and how the plane is basically drawn, how the notation etc. goes. So continuing the discussion now, whenever we have a say Miller indices for a plane, these round brackets are for planes. So whenever we have the Miller indices for a plane available, what does it mean? All the planes, for example, this 100 plane here in two dimension, 100. Suppose the third dimension is into the plane of the paper. So these lines, this represents the 110. What it means? The plane intersect x-axis at, suppose this is uh, one unit lattice translation vector along say x-axis and y-axis. So 110 means it intersect at one complete unit lattice point along x and y axis, and the plane goes like this, and this plane is parallel to z axis. Okay, so this plane is parallel to z axis. So this is, say, this is x and this is y, and this side is z axis. So in two dimension, these lines represents the 110 planes. So Miller indices, we need to remember, Miller indices represent all parallel planes. For example, this is, here is 100 plane. So all this plane, whether this is this one, the other one, or this one, all the planes will have same Miller indices, or uh, because uh, this particular plane intercept, suppose this is x, this is y, and downward this is, or upward this is z. So along x and y at one unit translation vector it is intersecting, and all such planes will have same Miller indices. Similarly for 100 plane, 100 plane, for example, it intersect only the x-axis at unit translation vector, the lattice point at unit lattice translation vector length. So one atomic distance you can say, and it is parallel to y-axis, it is parallel to z-axis. So this is the plane. Some have, say, 130 plane, minus 210 plane, minus or 2 bar 10 planes. This represents the intercept of the plane along the negative axis. There are some other examples. For example, 111 plane. So 111 plane. So this is, say, y-axis. This is x-axis. This is, say, z-axis. So this plane, so 111 plane intersect x, y, and z. For example, this is the plane. So if I look at this plane, which is just behind the main, so this plane is intersecting at this. So the intercept along y-axis is 1 unit, that is distance. Along x-axis again 1, and along z again 1. So it is inclined and intersecting all the planes, all the axes at same kind of distance. The family of such planes, so this is say 111 plane, one plane, and this is parallel to this plane. So this is a kind of family of planes. So this is represented here. So suppose this is the first plane, second plane, third plane, fourth plane, etc. All say 100 plane represent all such planes, and in the square bracket 100 represent this vector, which is the vector normal to the normal, that means perpendicular to the surface of the plane. So we can see, uh, if we are representing the plane by curved brackets, then it represents a plane, or if it is a square bracket, it represents the direction. That means a one-dimensional vector that represents the family of two planes which are two-dimensional. So it's, in the sense, it's a conversion, it's a correlation between two-dimensional plane into one-dimensional lattice vector. Okay, so similarly we have equivalent, say, planes. So all the faces of the cube, as we discussed yesterday, are all equivalent. Now let us look at, suppose this is a cube, and this dark shaded, this is the plane that we are looking for, and it makes a intercept, equal intercept along x, y and z. So in order to calculate the Miller indices, there are these three steps that need to be followed. First, determine the intercept, take the reciprocal, and clear the fraction, and whatever the result of the clearing the fraction is, that we have the Miller indices. So in this case it is straightforward. 111 is the intercept, and reciprocal stays the same, and then the Miller indices are also 111 in a curved brackets. So if I have the Miller indices, how do I basically draw the plane? So in order to do that, if the crystal is known, so simply you can draw the crystal like this. So since it is already here, I mean, we can take a clue and try to draw the say plane. So suppose this is a cube. So along the x-axis the Miller index is 1. This number, though in this case it is 1, but this number, generally this is h, k and l. So value of h means the Miller indices along x-axis. This is 1, that means this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. So along 180 means it has a lattice point at the edge of the corner of the cube, and so it intersects at that particular point. Along y, again it is at 1, and along z it is at 1. Okay, so this is the plane. Wait a minute. So this plane is within this lattice. This is the plane. Okay, now if I have a plane, instead of, suppose one of the Miller indices, instead of 1 it is 2, 3 or 4. Let us take, if suppose the Miller indices is along the y-axis is, suppose this is 2. Okay, so 2 means in Miller indices, if you need to fit that plane in a one unit cell, so what we can have is, along x-axis again it intersects the same point, along z-axis it intersects the same point, because Miller indices is 1 to 1. So 2 along y-axis means this Miller indices or this plane bisects, because there are 2, it divides the y-axis unit length into 2 equal parts. So basically it intersects at a point which is half the edge length. So the plane will be something like this. Okay, so this is 2 0 0 to 0 plane, whereas this is, sorry, not 2, this is 1 to 1, 1 to 1, whereas the other one, this is 1 1 1 plane. Okay, so let us have this 1 0 1 plane. So this is the plane. So you can see this is the x-axis, this side is y-axis, and this the vertical is the z-axis, and along x-axis the plane intersect at a unit edge length. Along y-axis it doesn't intersect, it meets at say infinity, and then along z-axis it meets at unit edge length again. So if I need to find the intercept is 1 along x-axis, y it meets at infinity, z it meets at 1 edge length, unit length, and then the reciprocal 1 by 1, 1 by infinity, 1 by 1. So Miller indices after clearing the fraction is 1 0 1. Okay, so if I have a unit cell, so how do I draw this? So if this is say x-axis, you can have any of the orthogonal direction as x, y, or z. So there is no particular convention which direction is x or y. So if this is 1 0 1, so that means it intersects x-axis along unit edge length, y it doesn't intersect, it is parallel, and then z it intersect at unit edge length. So this is how this whole plane looks like. Okay, so the planes which are basically, so this is the plane going through the face diagonal, the top face and bottom face. If I again change the, suppose there is a plane with the Miller indices of 1 0 2. So what does it mean? I'm taking say random examples. So in that case, the points along x and y remain the same. Z-axis it is 2. So along z-axis means it divides the axis into 2 equal parts. So again it is parallel to y-axis. So this plane is something like this. So each plane have their kind of location address. This is the identity of the plane, that okay, if I have these numbers or Miller indices, then I can say which plane we are talking about. Fine. And this is actually very useful in determining the crystal structure, because when we expose this crystalline to any X radiation, then it is not the crystal structure but the planes that give the signature, and combination of different planes make the crystal structure, and that's how we decipher the say crystal structures. You can have any say Miller indices. Suppose there is 2 1 1. So 2 1 1 along x-axis, the intercept will be at point, so x is 2, then y at 1, and z at 1. So this will be a plane like this. Please remember, there are you cannot have random planes for any crystal structure. Like we are taking the examples here. Each plane must have some lattice point associated with them. Then only we can have that particular plane. All the planes are not possible in all the crystal structures, so that limits the particular reflections that are there in the X-ray diffraction field. So these are some of the examples, and similarly we can have the other examples. 0, 2 we have taken here. So 1, that means along x-axis this plane intersect at a unit edge length 0. The k value is 0, that means it is parallel to y-axis. It doesn't intersect y-axis, so this is the y-axis. It's a parallel to, say, y-axis, and along z it intersect at 2. That means this particular plane intersect the unit edge length into 2 equal parts. So this is what the plane looks like, and the other plane will have the same intensity because this is parallel. Fine. So is, say, this particular plane that is shaded in this image. So it has a, this is x-axis. It has a intercept at -1 along x-axis, and along y-axis it doesn't intersect, so 0. So it is basically intersecting at infinity, and then along z-axis it is intersecting at 1/2. So this is 1/2. So taking reciprocal, 1 minus 1 by 1 by -1, 1 by infinity, and 2. So then it becomes -1, 0, 2. So this is the plane, and accordingly we can draw the plane if we want it to be, just by looking onto the Miller indices. Suppose there are Miller indices given, so you should be able to draw which plane actually we are talking about. So in case of -1, 0, 2, so yeah, this -1 is generally, the convention is it's 1 bar. So for 1 bar, so along x-axis this is -1, so this is x, this is y, and this is z. So -1 means the plane intersects somewhere onto the negative direction, So negative direction is, say, at this particular point, and y it is 0, so it doesn't intersect, and for z it is 1/2. So basically this line, and then parallel to y axis. This is the plane. Okay, so some other example. So there is a, for plane B, so there is this plane A, then we have plane B. So we can have the Miller indices by following these 3 steps. Take the intercept, take the reciprocal, clear the fraction, and get the Miller indices. And then from the Miller indices we should be able to draw the planes. Okay. Out the normal crystal structure, which are, say, a cubic, tetragonal, orthorhombic, monoclinic, triclinic, and rhombohedral. For hexagon, there is a additional Miller indices, which are known as the Miller Brevis indices that are basically used, and now we will discuss. Before proceeding, I would like to know if it is clear to you all. And any doubt about Miller indices for the crystal structures? Jia, Dishant, Akash, Vishal.
No, sir.
Yes, Jia. Any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Okay, Rahul, Riya, Umang.
No, sir.
Clear है ना? This is
Clear है।
No,
straightforward.
sir.
You need to remember 3 steps, which are very simple steps. It is the visualization that you need to keep uh, track of. You should be able to visualize from the Miller indices the plane, or from the plane the Miller indices. So if this is a plane which is say intersecting at one axis and it is parallel to the other, so what could be the Miller indices, and that way it helps. If we look at the hexagon, because if you look at the hexagon, actually this is the crystal structure. Hexagonal unit cell is not a primitive unit cell that we have already looked at. So the hexagonal unit cell is made up of the 3 primitive unit cells, which is shaded in this the diagram that is shown. So this is the primitive unit cell shaded in this diagram, and if it is repeated 3 times, and the hexagon or hexagonal crystal lattice can be generated. In this case, what we have is if we are taking hexagonal lattice as the unit cell, so we need 3 vectors to define the basal plane: A1, A2, and A3. Basal plane, this is the basal plane here. So in order to define the basal plane, we need 3 vectors: A1, A2, and A3. And then to define the C, the vertical axis, a 4th indices is required. Okay. With the Miller indices, we can have the primitive unit cell here, but if we want to define the hexagon unit cell, then we need the 4th indices, which is basically represent the Miller-Brevis indices for the basal plane. So what happens in this hexagonal crystal lattice? So directional plane in hexagonal lattice and crystals are designated by 4 index Miller-Brevis notation. Note in 3D we generally need only 3 indices, which are H, K, and L, but to accommodate the basal plane, which basically vectors A1, A2, and A3. So 3 this indices for the basal plane and 4th for the vertical axis. So this the Miller-Brevis notation can be a little tricky to learn. I mean, this is, suppose this is HKL for the primitive unit cell. Then the 4th one, that is I, Miller indices, can be calculated by, which is I is equal to minus HK plus H plus K. So suppose this H, any 2 vectors in the basal plane, suppose A1 and A2 is H and K, and this C is your L. Fine. So these 3 are sufficient to define primitive unit cell. But in order to accommodate the hexagonal unit cell, 3rd vector in the 3rd indices in the basal plane is required. We can see if we simply take the total sum of H and K, so it is like vector addition, parallelogram, law of vector addition. So if I have 2 vectors, suppose A1 and A2, so A1 plus A2, this vector will be, suppose this is in the vector addition, we simply join the tail of one of the vector with the head of the other and draw a parallelogram, and the initial point and the final point, that is the That means the diagonal of the parallelogram represents the total addition of these vectors, right? So this vector represents the addition, or this is a plus a1 plus a2. But if you take minus a1 plus a2, then this plane is rotated by 180 degree and we have a3. Okay, so from the Miller indices of the primitive unit cell, we can actually calculate the Miller-Bravis indices, which are basically very useful in determining uh, the the hexagonal lattice, or deciphering the hexagonal lattice crystal structure. So for that, the first three indices are asymmetrically related to the basal plane, and the third index is a redundant one. So third means A1, A2, and A3. These are the indices for the basal plane, and third one, A3, is kind of a redundant one because this can be calculated from the other two. So this is not an independent indices, uh, independent index, but it can be very useful while dealing with the hexagonal lattice. So the third one can be calculated from the first two, and this first two, and this the third one is introduced for the hexagonal lattice to make sure that members of the family of the direction and planes have set numbers which are identical. So because same planes in any crystal lattice will have same Miller indices, but in hexagon that was not the case. So to remove this ambiguity, a fourth index is introduced, so that the family of direction or planes have same number of Miller-Bravis indices, and all the indices are identical for all the planes and directions. This is so fourth index is represented C, which is parallel to the base, perpendicular to the basal plane. Hence, first three indices in a hexagonal lattice can be to get the different numbers of the family, and the fourth index is kept separate. So fourth, whether it is a primitive unit cell or a hexagonal unit cell, H and K and L remains the same, but from H and K, another index which is I, that is calculated, and using this formula here, and this is how lattice actually have additional index, and the indices for the hexagonal lattice are known as Miller-Bravis indices. This is not the Miller indices because they are additional lattice, so this is Miller-Bravis indices. So suppose now we have a plane right here. So suppose this is the plane in the intersecting the basal plane at unit length for A1, unit length for A2, and it doesn't directly intersect A along the positive direction, but onto the negative. So if we look at the intercept, if we follow the three same steps to determine the Miller indices. So first step is to determine the intercepts. So for A1 it is 1, A2 it is 1, A3 it is minus 1 by 2, minus in the other reverse direction, and it is not at the 1 unit length but at the half unit length. Fine. So half, and it is parallel to say the vertical. This is the plane here. So this is parallel to the c-axis, so it meets at infinity. So these are the intercept here, and if you take the reciprocal, 1 by 1, 1 by 1, minus 2 by 1, and 1 by infinity. So the Miller-Bravis indices for this is 1, 1, minus 2, 0. Okay, so 1, 1, minus 2 becomes 2 bar, and these are the Miller-Bravis indices for a given plane, this plane, in hexagonal crystal lattice. So this is Miller-Gravis indices. Okay, so use of 4 indices notation is to bring out equivalence between crystallographically equivalent planes and directions. So suppose now there is this one plane. So in this case, what will be the similar indices? Because ideally these two planes are identical. So if we try to find out the indices, so this is -1/2 for A1, then 1 for A2, 1 for A3, and infinity for C direction. And following the same steps, we will have 2 bar 1 1 0 as the Miller-Gravis indices for this plane. So depending upon which is the plane, we can now easily find out the Miller-Gravis indices for the hexagon. So there are some of the example of the utility of to show the utility of the 4 index notation. So for example, that's the plane which is parallel to say A3, which intersect at A2 at -1 and A1 at 0, and is parallel to sides of these planes, for example sides of the hexagon. So for example, the intercept for this one, A1 at 1, A2 -1, and A3 and C at infinity. So the Miller-Gravis index is 1 bar 0 0. For the other one, the indices is, because for one it doesn't meet at it doesn't intersect A1, so the intercept at infinity, A2 at this 1, so intercept is 1, and this is A3 it's a negative this direction, negative -1, and for C, or the L is horizontal, it's parallel to this one, and there's no intercept. And by taking the reciprocal, we can find out the Gravis indices. If we suppose now this is H, K, I, and L. Okay, let us see if I is equal to minus H plus K. So H is say 1 and K is -1, so -1 minus of this. So this so I, this is basically 0, so I should be in, this is 0, fine, that's true. And in this case, this is 1 bar, so I is equal to -0 plus 1, where H is equal to 0 and K is equal to 1. So this is equal to -1, can be written as 1 bar. So this is how, this is 4 index Gravis lattice. These are this is how these are calculated and determined, and this is different from the Miller-Gravis indices. Okay, so these green and blue planes belong to the same family, and this is known as the, there could be multiple planes, for example this green one or the blue one. So this belongs to this green plane, and this belongs to the blue plane, and the intercept and after the Miller-Gravis indices are determined. So for green, this so this is 1. So green the plane represented by the green line intersect the A1 at unit edge length, so the intercept is 1. For A2, it doesn't intersect on the positive but the negative direction, and that too at -2. Okay, so that's the point here. This is for A2, the negative direction, so -2. And for A3 also, it will be, it will intersect at minus uh, 2 along A3 direction. Okay, so this is 1 and this is 2, so -2, and this is parallel to the vertical axis, the C axis, and therefore it meets an infinity. So taking reciprocal and reducing, so reciprocal will be 1 by 1, 1 by -2, and 1 by -2, 1 by infinity. So the mirror indices are, now if I multiply everything by 2, so the plane will be 2, 1 bar, 1 bar, and 0. Okay, so these are the Miller indices of this particular plane represented in the by the green color. For blue one, with the same procedure, we can find out the Miller indices. So there are various planes that whose Miller Gravis indices can be determined. Okay, this is about the hexagonal lattice and the family of planes. Uh, uh, let's have a relook on to the notations. So if it is, HKL in the curved brackets, this denote the set of planes. Then if we have the square brackets, then these square brackets, it's a designated vector, a single vector, and it is a set of planes. If we have the curly brackets with the HKL, then this is a set of faces. So this is the family of the planes, and so family of planes, vector, and a plane. Okay, and suppose again here, if it is HKL like this is the family of directions. So if this is the mirror is in the curly brackets, this represents, say, a particular face for a group. One, this refers to only this face, and for a point group, this refers to all these faces. For basically this refers to all the, how many, eight faces. So if it is a cube, side, up and down, and front and back, all the faces are represented in the family of planes. Why we are interested in the family of planes? When we are characterizing a crystal, so if you look at the reflection, uh, the the simplified form, in the form of a simplified diffraction form in the form of reflection is used to determine which plane is basically diffracting the X-rays. That in detail we will know when we look at the diffraction of X-rays by the crystals. But the signature of all the planes or the family of planes uh, signature is similar. Okay, so at the same theta values, we will get the signature from all the family of planes. So individual plane cannot be basically looked at. It is the family of planes which give the signatures together. Okay, so when it's a collective signatures, collective peak, collective refraction, or collective maxima, or maxima at a certain point, then uh, it is about the family or the all the planes together, not individually. Okay, so about the crystal structure and systems.